thanks for joining us today. We're here with Dr. Renta to go over just some commonly asked questions about behavior in both dogs and cats. Our first question is, what types of toys are good for my dog to play with?
Yes, it's important to always choose appropriate toys for your dogs to play with that are safe. And probably one of the easiest, simplest toys is just a big hard rubber ball, that one that's not too small that a dog could potentially choke on it. You want to make sure that the toys that you choose aren't too hard where they could potentially break the teeth of the dogs. And so because there's a lot of hard bones out there on the market. So be really careful with those. Because if the dog is chewing down on a hard bone and you hear the crunching, usually what's breaking is the dog's teeth, not the toy. So make sure that the bones that you do choose, like a gumma bone, gives way to the chewing of the dog. Finally, a Kong toy is generally recommended by most of our behavioral specialists because the Kongs are nice hard rubber toys. They can chew them, they give way, they don't hurt the teeth, and you can also pack them with treats, and so it helps teach a dog to chew on the proper toys. For cats, we can talk about cats in a minute.
Okay. Are tennis balls okay for dogs to play and chew with?
Yeah, as long as they're large enough to not choke on, a tennis ball would be appropriate.
Okay. And I want my dog to be a well-behaved, good-mannered dog. What age should I seek professional training help?
Yeah. These days, it's very nice because our professional trainers very often hold puppy kindergarten classes. So we recommend even as young as 3 to 4 months of age, if the puppy's already receiving vaccinations, to go ahead and get signed up with the puppy kindergarten class. They'll learn socializing skills and be given lots of little homework assignments to desensitize your pet against lots of normal environmental situations, and you'll have a jump start on their behavior training. Otherwise, most Obedience 1 classes would start between the age of 6 and 12 months.
Okay. And I want my pet to feel secure and loved, but I don't know how to go about disciplining my pet.
Yeah, it's a very good question because sometimes we can create issues if we discipline inappropriately. I'm a big fan of always doing positive reinforcement and preventing, behavioral issues versus having to deal with them down the road. And so even things like teaching your pet to chew on the proper toy is much easier than, disciplining them for chewing on the wrong things. So, if you do catch them chewing on the wrong furniture, for example, you want to replace that with a Kong toy so that they then get the positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement can lead to fear, aggression, and biting, and so we just have to be very safe with that.
Okay. And if I come home and I find that my pet has gone to the bathroom on the floor, how do I punish my pet for that, or do I even do anything?
Mm-hmm. That is a big question because that does happen where we come home, we're potty training, and there's accidents. It would be inappropriate to punish that puppy for having an accident or your dog because they don't make the connection between having the accident and you coming home. They get all excited and you walk in the door and then you punish them and they have no idea what they did wrong, so it would really confuse them. So instead what you want to do is just take them right outside to an area where they can eliminate and then praise them for that positively.
Okay. And I have a dog that jumps on me when I come home, and when I have visitors that come over to visit, the dog also jumps on them. How do I go about training my dog not to do that?
Yeah, the best thing to do is to avoid or just ignore your dog when they're jumping and doing the bad behavior. And then when all 4 feet are on the ground, you can praise them for the positive, having all 4 feet on the ground so they're off of you. When they jump, some people will recommend to go ahead and just say off. So they learn the word off to stop jumping. And then again, once all 4 feet are on the ground, you can praise them, very positively, give them treats, just really enforce them being off. And sometimes you can even teach them off and sit. And by rewarding that calm behavior, they'll soon realize that they don't get any attention when they're jumping on you and being obnoxious, but they get all this wonderful attention when they're calm.
I have a dog that barks a lot, and I don't want it to annoy my neighbors. What kind of things can I use to train my dog to prevent it from doing that?
Yes. So barking, I kind of use reverse psychology. I think it's important to teach your dog to bark appropriately, and an appropriate bark is okay. Like if somebody comes and knocks on the door, you want your dog to be able to bark and inform you that somebody's there. But then you want him to hush, so once they get the job done, they should listen to you and then hush and not, continue with this annoying bark. So by teaching your pet to bark, you can do that with positive reinforcement. So they bark, you can have somebody ring the doorbell, the dog barks, reinforce that with a treat. Once they learn how to bark on command, then what you do is you teach them how to hush. So once they bark and you're like, good bark, then when they're quiet, you say, good hush. Give them the treats to reinforce that quiet moment. And pretty soon they're gonna learn that they get treats and they get rewarded for barking and for hushing. Now, if your dog, though, continues to bark insistently and you just can't get them to be quiet, or they are annoying neighbors, you would want to consult your veterinarian about possibly using a citronella bark collar. They're very safe and humane, and they distract the dog from barking. And because once in a while there are dogs that have anxieties and they do bark quite a bit. So talk with your veterinarian about other alternatives.
I wanted to know what to do. I have a dog that's been neutered, but he still shows interest in females. How long does that last, or does that ever go away?
Yeah, for the most part, within a few months after doing the neuter, that behavior goes away. They'll stop mounting, the females. But once in a while, dogs continue with that bad habit. So I always tell them off and no and redirect their attention to something else. Because if they continue to do that, sometimes it will form into a habit. And so it's better just to nip it.
Okay. I have a pet that is terrified of thunder and storms. What do I need to help my pet with that?
Yeah, phobias of thunderstorms are a real condition, a real anxiety in dogs, and so we have to, realize that it's important to get that under control. There have been cases known where dogs have almost had heart attacks from that fear. So what I would recommend is to consult your veterinarian about some desensitization programs. You want to make sure you do it properly so that you don't feed into that phobia and make it worse. Also, you can, in the house, if you get caught off guard, if you can keep the pet inside with a radio or another sound that might distract them, that could be helpful. And some behavioral specialists have recommended using the thunderstorm coats that are out that can be purchased. So.
Okay. My puppy is eating her own stool. Can I do something to stop that behavior?
Yeah, that is a yucky habit nobody likes, and so the important thing is to try to nip that habit fast, because the longer they do that, the more chance that we are not going to be successful in stopping the habit. The condition's called coprophagia, and what I recommend to do is to follow your dog out when they do have their bowel movements. Just pick up the stools immediately. That can just prevent the problem right off the bat. But if that doesn't always happen, you can purchase from your veterinarian a product that you can sprinkle on the food that has it taste. It makes the food, it's tasteless on the food, but once a bowel movement comes out, it has a really icky taste to it, and so the dogs will be deterred from eating their stools. You do sometimes have to repeat the training process. So if you do that for a week, and then the dog might go a month and then start eating the stools again. So be consistent and keep reinforcing that with the dog by using the product on the food as needed.
Okay. When a dog eats grass, does that mean that they have an upset stomach or they're sick?
And no one knows exactly why dogs do that for sure, but they tend to sometimes do it when they do have an upset stomach, and it might help just them to vomit something out. So you want to watch that. If they're doing it too frequently, we don't want them doing that, more than maybe once or twice a month. But if they're doing it more consistently, it could indicate some other digestive issues. So you would want to seek your veterinarian's help.
Okay. And if my pet shivers or shakes, what does that mean? Is she cold, or is there something else going on?
Yeah, sometimes our pets will shiver just from being nervous, and so there's no medical reason. But if they're doing it consistently and you don't think that it's from the nervousness, it can indicate pain or discomfort, and sometimes it can just be because they're cold and trying to get their body temperature up.
Okay. And then in addition, I had some cat questions on behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Why do cats like catnip?
Well, catnip is a little bit of a stimulant. It is a form of mint plant. In some cats, it acts on their sense of smell, and they do get stimulated from it. It tends to be safe for them to use, so it's okay to use that. But the ones that it affects, it can actually be quite fun for them.
Okay. And why does my cat tap me with her paw? What does that mean?
Yeah, cats will sometimes tap you with their paw because they're trying to get your attention. Just it's nothing more extreme than that. Other times they will kind of bat at you before they want to scratch or bite you. So you want to watch the kitty's body language and see, are they just wanting to interact and have you play with them, or, are they getting mad about something?
Okay. And then sometimes my cat likes to come up and knead on me, on my lap or my chest. What does that mean when they do that?
Yeah, that just simply means that they're content.
Okay. And then how do I stop my pet from urinating on the furniture around the house?
That's a big question. It's probably the #1 reason why cats are relinquished to humane societies is because of inappropriate elimination. So if your cat is doing that, the first thing you want to do is make sure that there's not a medical problem. And that would require visiting your veterinarian, having a urine sample evaluated. If there's not a medical problem, then it could just simply be normal instinct of the cat, because cats urinate on different objects is a form of marking, and it shows that their territory and their possession. And so what you want to do is kind of think like a cat in your house and make sure that you don't have opportunities in the house that the cat likes. For example, some cats will urinate in an unmade bed because of the odors of the person. So you want to make sure you make your bed, or keep the doors closed to your bedroom when you're gone, because many times they're going to do this when you're not in the house. The other thing you can do if they like to urinate, let's say on rugs in the bathroom, is pick the rugs up. Mm-hmm. Put the gym bags away, put the shoes and the slippers away, because those are the items that might have a human's odor on it, and the cat is going to want to mark it. And again, it's a natural instinct.
Okay. And what kinds of toys are good for my cat to play with?
Yeah, toys for cats are interesting because cats very often will create or make their own toys. And it's kind of fun to see what they pick up around the house to play with. But you could also provide like the hard balls like you would for a dog. And again, make sure that they're large enough that they're not going to get stuck. You can roll up just a piece of paper and throw that. A lot of cats will actually play fetch that way. Catnip toys are great. Never use strings, because strings that cats swallow can create major issues, so no strings. And if you're going to have toys around a cat post, never hang them off of a string off the cat post, because that can actually get wrapped around a cat's neck or a kitten's neck and it can choke them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Rinta. That ends our section today on behavior. Thank you.
You're welcome.